Hey there, on today's episode, we're talking about say it now before it's too late. So, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know something is that I was honestly going back and forth about whether or not I should actually do this episode. But I realized if this topic could help at least one person, then it's important for me to do. Because today's episode talks about grief and about losing loved ones during the holidays. And while I know that it can bring up a lot of emotions, and trust me, I know because I've lost a lot of my relatives right around the holidays, is that if you are fortunate enough to still have your parents in your life or other loved ones with you, this episode, I promise, carries a powerful reminder about saying the things that matter most to our loved ones now and not waiting for someday after it's too late. So if this topic feels too heavy or emotional for you, and like I said, I totally get it, but if it's too heavy or emotional for you right now, please, please, please honor yourself and feel free to skip this episode and come back to it another day when you're feeling like you're ready to hear this message. Hey there, it's Suzanne Oshima, life coach for women in midlife, and your fellow sister on a mission to empower and inspire you through the twists and turns of midlife. I'm here to help you transform it into your best life with the Life Is Now, Do It While You Can podcast. We only get one life, so let's make it count, and I'm super excited to dive into this new journey together. All right, so let's jump in. So the reason why this subject came up for me recently is because a few days ago, I got a text message from a very close friend of mine, and she texted me to let me know that her cousin passed away. And I was devastated for her because I've known this person for over 20 years, and her cousin has been like her sister, and she's very, very close to her. And I knew, of course, she was completely devastated. And just yesterday, she posted something on Facebook, and it really hit home for me because in the post, she posted about the celebration of life service, which is happening this weekend. And in the post, she put a quote that said, "Everything we say at funerals should be said at birthday parties instead. We leave so much love unspoken." And I just thought that was so, so powerful because how many times have you heard a speech at a funeral and you're like, gosh, I bet they wish they could have said all of this to that person while they were still alive. And like I said, this hit really close to home for me because you hear so much about how people regret the things they didn't say to someone before they passed. And for me, just to let you know, I first experienced death with my grandfather when I was 16 years old. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember understanding it because even though I was 16, I just didn't understand it. And I remember feeling scared and not knowing like what was next. Now, at the time, I loved my grandfather, but I wasn't super close to my grandfather. Like I wouldn't call him all the time. Then his wife, my grandmother, she passed away when I was 18, and she passed away right around actually now, around Christmas. And I was the grandchild that was closest to her because I was the one that would spend a lot of time with her at her house, and I would help her run errands on the weekend, and I would call her all the time and check in on her. And I will tell you, I've never told this story publicly, so bear with me because it's already starting to bring up a lot of emotions for me. So, the night before she died, early in that week, something told me to call her. And I remember telling myself when that popped into my head is, oh, Suzanne, you just saw her this weekend. Nana, we called her Nana. I said, Nana's fine. You just saw her this weekend. And so I didn't call her. Well, that night, she had a heart attack. And the next morning, I remember looking out my bedroom window and seeing my mom leaving our house really early in the morning. And I was like, where's my mom going this early? And I later found out that my grandmother had called my mom to say that something was wrong. And so my mom went to her house and figured out something was really serious. And so they called an ambulance and she was brought to the hospital. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong. They did not know at the time that she had a heart attack. They were doing all these tests, but by the time they figured out that it was a heart issue, that it was too late. She passed away the next day, that evening. Anyways, I not only felt a tremendous amount of guilt for not calling her, because obviously there was a higher being that was telling me to call her. I had regrets about all the things I didn't say to her when she was alive. And like I said, I was 18 at the time. I never dealt with depression, but that was the first time that I went into depression for over a year. And I didn't really understand it, to be honest with you. And back then, people didn't really talk about mental health issues. But now that I'm older, now that I'm 60, I can look back and say, oh, I was clearly in a bout of depression for over a year. So anyways, fast forward to in my 40s, as my parents started to age, I knew someday the obvious is going to happen, right? That they would no longer be here. And obviously, no one wants for that day to come, right? You never want that day when your parents are no longer here. But as my mom would always say, when I would talk about death and how I was so afraid of people dying in my life, my mom would always say this, and I always remembered this, is that she would say, Suzanne, it's the circle of life. And while I know that to be true, again, obviously, you never want to lose your parents, right? You want to think that they're going to be here forever. Anyways, at the time in my 40s, it's not that they were even close to passing away or close to the door of death, but the truth is that they were getting up there in age, and I had to accept the fact that there was going to be one day when they would no longer be here, right? So I started thinking about all the amazing things that my parents had done for me as a child, but also into adulthood, right? Like all the things that they taught me so that I could become the strong, independent woman that I was today. And all the things they gave me in my life growing up without spoiling me. And all the love that they gave me as my parents. And all the support that they gave me when I would tell them all the things that I wanted to do in my life. And they were like, of course you can do that. That's great. I love like when I told them I wanted to move to New York City from San Francisco and I didn't have a job or apartment, they didn't go, why are you doing that? They said, go and do it. You have to go and live your dream. And even my mom said, I'm living vicariously through you, because she always wanted to do that. So they always showed me love and for support for everything that I wanted to do. And so I started thinking about how I wanted to tell them how much I appreciated them. So I thought about like everything and anything they had taught me or given me. And like I said, from the time I was a child to at that time when I was thinking about this, I was in my 40s. And so I decided at that time I didn't want to have any regrets like I did when my grandmother, who I was very close to, when she passed away. And I knew that if I didn't say what I needed to say to my parents before they passed away, I would have regrets, to be honest with you. And so I decided at that time that I was going to write personal letters to both my mom and dad, separate letters, like each of them would get their own letter. And the letters would be to tell them what they meant to me and what they taught me and how much I appreciated everything and anything they ever did for me. So I took the time back then to write these long letters to each of them. And I thought about all of the things that they had done for me. And I gave them specific examples of what they taught me and how I became the strong woman I am today because of all of their love and support. And so after I wrote the letters, I gave each of them the letters and they read it. And I knew after they read the letters, not only did they appreciate it, but I also know that in my heart of hearts, for me, that there would never be anything that was left unsaid. I knew after I gave them those letters, I knew deep down inside that I just wouldn't have regrets after they passed away, because I knew that I had said everything I wanted and needed to say to them while they were alive. So I know this can be, again, a little bit heavy, but here's why I'm sharing this with you. Is because if you're fortunate enough to still have your parents or other loved ones in your life right now, they don't have to be people that are older. It could be younger people in your life, your children, anybody in your life, aunts, uncles, friends, whatever it is, the people in your life that you truly love and you want to share what they mean to you. It's important for you to tell them how you feel about them now. Please, please, please do not wait for someday, because someday may be too late. You want to tell them now while they can hear it, receive it, and most importantly, appreciate it. And trust me, my parents, like I said, appreciated the heartfelt letters I sent to them. And while I'm truly sad that my parents are no longer here, trust me, I am truly sad. And it brings up a whole host of emotions, but the one emotion it does not bring up is that I definitely don't have any regrets about the things that I didn't say to them when they were alive, because writing those letters, I shared everything I needed to say when they were still alive. So I urge you to not wait for tomorrow, to start writing these letters to the people that are important in your life, the people that mean something to you, that you want to tell them today and not wait for someday. And I promise you will never regret it. Hey there, before you go, as I mentioned, I know the holidays can bring up a whole host of emotions because I know this is the time when a lot of us start to reflect on our lives and also look into the future of what's next in our lives. And so if you're ready to start living midlife without regrets, but you don't want to do it alone, I totally get it because that's exactly how I felt. I didn't want to do it alone. So if you wish you had more friends to share the adventures, the conversations, and this next chapter of life with, but you're unsure where to start in making new friends, I created something just for you. And it's my free ebook called It's Never Too Late to Make New Friends. And here's why I wrote it, is because a few years ago, after moving across country at 55, I found myself in that exact same place of wanting to make new friends, craving connection, and honestly not knowing where to start, how to make new friends. And little by little, I figured it out. And now I'm sharing everything I learned with you in my ebook, which is free, on how to make new friends in midlife. And you can download your free copy right now at SuzanneOshima.com. So go get it now, because this chapter of your life and going into 2026 is meant to be shared with friends by your side every step of the way.